Yeah, thank you very much. We are here today, as you can see, it's a big team, partners, East African region, to meet and discuss in this conference a very key issue on community land tenure and propose reforms that they feel will be able to improve the registration, the handling, registration, management, and land use of community land. A very critical element that is supported by the Constitution 2010 and also the Community Land Act. Of course, there are those other acts, the Adjudication Act, the Land Act, but basically the Constitution allows a community to have their land registered as community land, and they determine how to use that land, and of course with the support of the physical planning and planning in the ministry of my ministry, and we are of course supported by various partners. The FAO is one of those, European Union, ECTAD. I think there are several partners for this program, especially the governance and reforms program supported by the European Union and other partners. The county governments are a key stakeholder because, you know, when you discuss community land, then you would expect that the participation of the county government is critical. So we would expect the outcome will propose various reforms. Since we enacted the 2016 Community Land Act, it is obvious that there are lessons that have come forward, and they will inform going forward what policy adjustments or reform that we need. So I would not preempt the conversation in the room, but so far I think I've listened to the opening remarks from the National Land Commission, who are a key stakeholder. You know, they are the ones who recommend the titling before the titles are issued. You know, they have to be fully involved, and therefore it's a good, very good workshop. Yeah.
So, Madam CS,
or conference. Maybe I should use the word conference. Yes.
Oh yeah, thank you. Since the 26th.
So the recognition first that community land can be titled and have a secure title in the name of that community. Who will propose the name, for me, is a very big step forward or achievement. And we have had some already registered. We have others that are in the processes. I won't give you specific figures because, you know, I am new in the ministry and I need time to verify. But we have a couple of them, I'm told, over 40 community land titlings have been done. And within that process, they also register members of that community so that it is not just the word community. The membership of that community before the land is registered is known. There are registers and inventories that are collected, with the public participation being a critical element of that process. So that, for me, is very, very important. Of course, there is a lot of engagement and mobilization of the community so that they have conversations at the grassroots that also get into conflicts, why the conflicts should not be there, how they should use the community land, how that land should be managed. That is being enabled by the Community Land Act. And the partners have contributed to that process. The county governments are key custodians of some of those instruments, and they obviously must be the ones to forward the registers, but the community itself must be the main signatories of that. I think I want to just, maybe those for me are critical elements of that. And of course now, because of the lessons learned, this particular workshop will be able to delve into the experiences of doing that processes, not just in Kenya, but in East Africa and elsewhere outside the East African region, the greater East African region. We'll be informing some of the things, and we share. The sharing will be very critical so that we know what other countries are doing, and how can that be used to make our processes faster, effective, and better.
Now, there remains a challenge with regards to, women. This communal land and a lot of disputes surrounding that. Maybe what would you say?
The information that has reached me the last one day in terms of the inclusion of women, I think the youth may be the ones now who need to find their space, but the inclusion of women is ongoing because the registers are registering both male and female. Previously, land was held by elders, and elders were never women. So the minute you recognize that women are members, and that is being done, there is no discrimination. That has been removed because our constitution, of course, does not allow discrimination. With that in mind, then we have members who are women or female that are registered. Nobody will leave out a woman or a female because they are of their gender. So that for me is a big achievement. They are also being included in the committees that are managing these processes, which then means in terms of governance and leadership, they are making contributions. And for me, including the land use, women also are part of that. Is a very, very big achievement, and especially for pastoralist communities. The place of women, the said place of women in the pastoralist community. So for them to appreciate and agree that women should be able to participate. I think now what is important is whether the participation is effective participation, whether it is gainful participation, and whether really it is bringing impact in terms of also benefiting as members of the community in terms of that particular law.
Just last one before I throw one to the chairman. The issue at hand, the hot potato will say, the issue of Portland. Maybe what would you say your ministry is doing just to avoid such scenarios in future?
In future, I think in future the message is that Kenyans must be very careful about what land they acquire or pay out their monies to. That is one. Kenyans seem to be rushing into land that has issues, and even despite, sometimes either it is naivety or the culture of Kenyans to want to buy land where there are questions. But of course, the ministry has a big responsibility in terms of rejecting titling on land that is questionable. The ministry and the National Land Commission, because I think the background of the Portland, East African Portland land. There have been cases in court, and those cases, of course, have determined ownership, resulting, therefore, to the demolitions that are occurring. And it's been a very long process. Therefore, I would want to ask Kenyans, to urge Kenyans to be slow. We are not short of good land with the proper titles. I think Kenyans must start taking these issues of glabbed land very seriously, and whoever is claiming to be the proprietor or the owner, do they have a good title to pass over? But of course, the ministry must take responsibility where they participate, or the ministry participates in having titles issued when they know that there is no good interest, or the interest in that title is questionable. I think that is what I would like to say so far. I think my PS and the Deputy President I believe are handling maybe the emerging issues, and that's why my PS is not here, Nixon Correo. Yeah. I would like you to give me time so that I'll be calling a press conference myself in regard to the status of titling and other maybe updates in regard to the ministry have just been posted to. I got into the office on 12th of October, and normally there is a process after the official handover. there is a process that is supposed to take place where, of course, your departments come and make presentations to bring you on board and on speed on the issues, giving you the status. So I would like at that particular time, and it will be soon, I'll be calling a press conference to update you on where, and then give you our benchmarks and my objective as the new Minister for Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Perhaps we'll also get insights from the Chairman.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Bwana Chairman, just to throw the quick one, I heard you mention in your speech that there are some technicalities that are delaying registration of these communal lands. Maybe you will shed more light on that.
Okay, thank you. Now, first, before I answer that specific question, let me appreciate Waziri, the CS, for making time to to attend and open this conference. We also appreciate that it's our first official engagement of this nature at the ministry, and also state that we welcome her to the land sector. We have been working very well with the ministry so far, and we pledge to continue our engagement of ensuring that within our respective mandates, we are working closely for the benefit of Mwananchi. Right. On the issue of the registration, the challenges, those challenges, of course, are more understood by the ministry that actually does registration. But the commission has the mandate of monitoring and advising, and also in conducting research. And it's through this process of monitoring and research that we have noted, as I indicated in my speech, that there are challenges that are technical. The technical are more about survey, georeferencing, and so on, which can be costly. The other is more social, issues about the communities themselves, how they work around the issues of their membership and leadership, but also between the communities and the counties, which hold the land in trust pending registration. So a lot of times there are small issues that can be resolved, but I think there's progress in communities appreciating those challenges, and I believe that in due course we shall be seeing faster progress.
All right, just another last question in regards to what is the Commission doing to ensure that there is no backlog of cases in terms of land ownership? Because I understand there are some cases which have sprung for more than 30 years. What is the Commission itself not trying to do to ensure that these cases at least they get addressed?
Okay, I think it depends on what kind of case you're talking about, because a lot of cases that are historical, the Commission deals with historical land injustices and tries to make recommendations. But there will be unique challenges on private land, just like the example you've talked about of Portland, where there could have been issues about who acquired title, maybe improperly or illegally, and passed it on, and those kind of things. So, and issues of dispute resolution, they cut across. The main center for resolving the main cases is the courts. And thankfully, under the 2010 Constitution, we have the specialized ELC, Environment and Land Courts, which now focus on resolving those disputes. However, we also have alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. We've worked very closely with the FAO and the ministry and judiciary in coming up with alternative justice resolution dispute resolution mechanisms. There's been a very good pilot that has been carried out in Kajiado County and is being rolled out across the country. So with the use of AJS, I believe many such cases would be resolved over time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Dr. Hassan Guyoroba. I work for the Christian Fund as Director of African Strategy. Our organization supports indigenous people, communities, mostly grassroots organization, to have their land registered, have their tenure rights, mostly the customary tenure rights registered. And we have been working for the last almost 10 years on these issues, but specifically for the last 4 years, supporting communities to register their land under the new Act 2016 Act. And that's where we have now to report about some of the challenges that communities have faced to have their land registered. The law is very good. Of course, policy on land registration is very good. But if you go by the report that was recently launched by the National Land Commission plus Namati, who is also our partner, we haven't made significant progress. If we only have 46 or thereabout group ranches having the land converted to community titles, out of 350 plus. And therefore, this conference will bring to forth why what's the problem? Why are we not having so much? Group ranches are basically very easy to convert to community titles because these are already organized, registered titles, just need to change it. But even here we have a problem because there are conflicts, there's registration, there's mapping and demarcation of boundaries. We have not yet started with the trust land. And the trust land are the land that are still under the Trust Land Act, and they are going to be converted to community titles. Those are the lands that we now support communities to do. Here there are even more problems. One, even agreeing on the inventory, what name to take, what's the size of the land that can qualify, who's a community, still a big problem. So some counties have proposed, for example, a whole county to be a community land. Turkana, for example. Marsabit is a mix. Some are constituency level, some are ward level, some are sub-county. Isiolo is having a problem with the name. Mandera, Wajir, everywhere. So we feel that the law is good, but it's a bit complicated for people to understand. Some are taking this as sort of owning the land. The land reform will actually aims to facilitate better use of the land, transformation of the land for communities that live on it. It's not to create any ethnic enclaves, small pockets that become an independent country. No, those are still people can still use the land together. But this has to come out. How do we have land registered for communities' benefit? It's important because the range land, the arid and semi-arid area, is a land that can only be used sustainably if the unit of registration allows that. Because it's very arid, the rain is very patchy, communities have to use that land together. So small units, sort of like farming for coffee or for tea, you have to use big land. But big how? Still because of have community assembly that's made of 15 people. How do you make it manageable but still sustainable use? But then allow again interchanges between communities, mobility between community A and community B to use the land sustainably. All these are becoming bottlenecks because communities are yet to understand the law that's done. But the government has not helped either because the land has to be registered through a long process of filling in forms. This is many of them, and then start to get community registrar. And in most places there are none. In northern Kenya, for example, Marsabit and Isiolo share one. And we have for a long time been requesting that let's have registrar in every county at least. Don't have one. Marsabit don't have one. We have to borrow, people have to bring their land forms from Loyangalani to Isiolo. Imagine communities have to do that. How peaceful, and then nobody pays them the money. So the process is very expensive, time consuming, not user friendly. What we are requesting the government and the ministry and the National Commission is to make the process more community friendly. In any case, we are not giving new land. It's just land that they already use customarily, using their knowledge. Now they manage it more. Now they have more power over it. But don't make it hard for them to have that tenure right recognized. It should be almost easy to do that. So the bureaucracies have to be removed, and we have to revisit the whole process and say, what are the challenges that people are facing? And my hope from this conference is we are going to have that type of opportunity to critically look at steps that we have made. Moreover, Kenya is in advance compared to East Africa, Uganda, Tanzania, Ethiopia, in having this law in place. Our experience and our success is going to inform how our regional partners are also going to do the same thing. So let's be a good example to the rest of the people by doing things right and making it easy from the lessons we have learned. So it's going to be very reflective, very enabling for people to listen. Unfortunately, people in the conference are mostly people in high stream in the policy. We don't have a lot of community representation, but hopefully the lessons from here will help to inform policies that have effect on the ground. Thank you. Yeah.
Let's start with the name. Yes, my name is Abdi Omar. I'm the board chair for Reconcile, who have helped to organize this meeting. And I think it's a wonderful meeting. As you have heard, Kenya is very advanced in the region because you don't have private or community land tenure which has been registered in the neighboring countries. So the issues of like georeferencing, mapping, those are technical issues which are resolvable. The biggest problem is on the social side. There are very many communities, tribes, clans, sub-clans which are sharing land. So the way our inherited land system has been from the British and Europe is private land with specific boundaries. Now you are going to a pastoral group which migrates to the seasons, which migrates to the rains, and you want to bring the same kind of titling system. So I think one of the things we want to do at this conference and workshop is to look at what has worked where, how can we get those ideas so that the communities can be involved. The other problem is when something is made very technical, like the legal system, the titling system, the laws of the country, when you reflect that to a community living with their shukas in some rural area, that sounds like a gibberish. So one of the things that has been a shortcoming to me is funding. We need adequate funding to involve the communities, to educate them, to make them aware of all these changes being happened. So if you just say we have empowered women in the constitution, but the women in the villages have not, you get the point. So the National Land Commission was supposed to deploy a massive community education, community awareness, community research, but the funding is low for them. And so some of the donors step in, but then how to get that to the communities is a real challenge. Thank you.